When the original Moondrop Chu first came out, it was a revolution. Back then, people didn't really care about the $20 IEM market. It was filled with cheap stuff. They didn't really sound good. And in general, people typically like to save up to the next tier up, which was $50, because that was where you get something that was actually half serviceable. That was, of course, until the Moondrop Chu, which showed the world that you could indeed get a $20 IEM and get it at a decent quality. Nowadays, the original Moondrop Chu can seem a little dated. After all, it didn't come with a detachable cable, which is now what most of the competition has, and has a signature that was rather bright-leaning and a little too bass-light for the general populace. And so now we do have the Moondrop Chu 2 with detachable cables and what seems to be a darker, much warmer signature. So now, the question is, can Moondrop regain its $20 throne? Before we begin, and I know I've forgotten to do this for quite a while, disclaimers. Now, I'm not going to unleash the entire spiel on you right now. It's not wise. Instead, just watch this video where I talk about everything that would affect the objectivity of my reviews for 12 minutes. And in essence, it's just all the reasons why you shouldn't trust someone like me. But you know who you should trust? Headphones.com. Yes, it's an ad read. Headphones.com is the premier online audio retailer for those residing in the greatest nation on earth, Canada. And of course, the US. Browse through their wide array of audio products ranging from amps, DACs, IEMs, and of course, it's headphones, it's in the name. We have a catalog that is specially curated for the discerning audiophile. Headphones.com is a shop that is built on reputation and trust. Take it from me, I've met the entire Headphones.com team. I know they are great people and therefore a great shop. Not only that, you also enjoy an unprecedented 365-day return policy. That means that if you don't like what you have just purchased, just throw it back at them. It's literally their business model. Go to headphones.com for all of your audiophile needs. Tell them I sent you. Support the people who support me. So a very quick backstory. The original Moondrop Chu was, as I've mentioned again, a revolution in the $20 space. For the longest time, I had always regarded the under $30 price bracket to be the cash grab land, if you will. For something to be selling at that price point, the costs to manufacture them would be just as low. And that of course poses a lot of problems. You have to select the cheapest materials, you have to take shortcuts in production, and at some point, I think QC also takes a huge hit. And let's not even talk about the absolute lack of care that went into tuning a lot of these cheap shit IEMs, because before the Moondrop Chu came along, a lot of them were just mid, dog water, just absolute garbage that I just don't want to buy, even if you offer it to me at $5. So what the Chu 1 represented was a tonal shift in how the $20 bracket were to be viewed. It came unprecedentedly with a metal build at $20. Unfortunately, you can't have everything. The Moondrop Chu 1 didn't come with detachable cables, so if you accidentally killed it, well, you're shit out of luck. And that's where I feel like the competition really came in and started differentiating themselves from the Chu 1. Many IEMs that came out thereafter, in response to the Chu 1, capitalized on the fact that they had detachable cables with a similar sound signature. And that is where I feel like that really killed the market share of the Chu 1. There you had the pick of the litter. Everything that was not from a sound perspective, but from a usability perspective, superior to the Chu 1. And thereafter, the Chu kind of faded into obscurity, at least relative to the rest of the competition. And make no mistake, Moondrop were well aware of this. And so we have the Chu 2, which is just from a very surface level analysis, the Chu 1 with detachable cables. And they could have just stopped right there and gotten a huge chunk of the market share. But of course, on top of that, Moondrop has heard the criticisms that a lot of people had for the sound of the Chu 1, which to a lot of people was too bright, was too bass shy, and just had a general high frequency tilt that not a lot of people really liked. So on the Chu 2, what happened? Well, they essentially down tilted the response. You get more bass as well as less treble on the Chu 2. And I would say that makes it a lot more palatable to the general audience. Is this a big update? I would say absolutely. Have they addressed the lack of detachable cables? Yes. Have they addressed the fact that their sound signature, the original sound signature, tended to be more esoteric for the more mainstream audience? Yes. Is it a perfect product? No. But it's $20, not even 20, it's like 19, maybe 18, I don't know. That said, there are still things that I would still prefer the Chu 1 over, one of which would be the fact that the Chu 1 had a much brighter leaning signature. It also resulted in much better clarity, which when you compare it with the Chu 2, is rather apparent. That's not to say that the Chu 2 is muffled or dark or whatever. No, it's just that in comparison to the Chu 1, you can tell that there's kind of a veil that is on top of everything else. But at this price bracket, everything is a compromise. Where the Chu 1 was a lot clearer, it also, again, makes it less palatable to the general audience. And where the Chu 2 is slightly more muffled and more veiled, it makes up for it with that thump, with a much more pleasing signature overall. And if you ask me, I would actually pick the Chu 2 more times than not over the Chu 1. But enough about the internal comparisons. What you're here for is the comparisons with the general market, the competition. In terms of the $20 market, I would like to think that there's a general consensus of the big three, excluding the Chu 1. You have the Tangzu 1 you have the Truthier Hola, which I praised a lot in this video, and of course you have the third unnamed one that I will not say due to conflict of interest. And I'm also excluding the now booming market of DSP IEMs because I feel like they warrant a separate categorization altogether. In terms of usability and in terms of features, the 1 and the Hola run absolute circles around the Chu 1 by virtue of the fact that they have detachable cables. It's a fickle market, I know. But of course, now the Chu 2 equalizes the playing field. So let's talk about how they compare with each other. I myself am not the biggest fan of the 1 It's a great IEM, and I still think that it runs circles around many $50 IEMs. It's just that when you compare it with something like the Hola, I feel like there is a noticeable gap in performance. And I know people are going to disagree with me on this, which is why I say watch my disclaimer video, everything is explained there. And in terms of build quality, then that's where the 1 really misses the mark. It's a full plastic shell, feels very cheap, like the $20 IEMs of the old days, and generally I just don't think that it's something that you buy for to impress someone. The Truthier Hola, on the other hand, is a chonker relative to the Chu 2, but some people might like that. It also sports a very similar warm tilted bassy signature that would gel well with a lot more people. But if you're asking me personally, I feel like the Chu 2 and the Hola are essentially on even playing fields, and the ones that you should choose is just on that slight difference in tonality and, at a bigger extent, the differences in the shell. After all, the Holas are designed for slightly larger ears, not that large, but the Chu 2s are much more appropriate if you, let's say, if you're a small lady or just someone with much tinier ears. So in terms of the hierarchy of these IEMs, at least in my own personal opinions, it would be Hola along with the Chu 2, followed by the 1 And of course, relative to the entire IEM market, I am giving the Chu 2 an A+ in tonality, a C+ in tech grade for a value star rating of 3. For most intents and purposes, it's $20. It's a blind buy. So to answer the question that I've posed, has Moondrop regained its $20 throne? Yeah, there's no reason for me to say no. They've done it. Again, but as a whole, I've always told people not to take my words at face value. I'm only just one guy and your experiences matter the most. Which is why I encourage you to come down to the Hangout. We are located at 29B Mosque Street, level 3 in Chinatown. We have the Chu 2 on hand, we have the Hola, we might have 1 at some point as well. Just come down, try it out yourself, and then form your own opinions. Again, that is 29B Mosque Street, level 3. Come down if you're Singaporean, or hell, come down if you're visiting Singapore. We are here. Now let me just shout out my big money boys. Here are all of your names who have subscribed to the $20 tier on my Patreon. And for those who have subscribed to the $30 tier, allow me to speak out your beautiful names: Dennis McMadface, crinacle, Alicia Burrito, Andrew Frit, Positronic, Drizza, 404 user not found, Seraphim, Miam, and a Lunar Mint. I thank you all. So that's one end of the Moondrop spectrum, the $20 Chu 2. So next up, let's look on the much higher end of the spectrum. But, before that, see you next week. Don't die. Fuck off.